Mr. Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Have you ever experienced a difficulty while reading out French when you didn't know how to pronounce some letters in a word? I'll give you two very simple rules how you should read in French. Rule number one, you don't pronounce half of the letters. Rule number two, only God knows how to pronounce what's left. If you forget these two simple rules, your life can be very, very difficult. I experienced it when I was first staying in France. It was my first time abroad, and in French, I knew only two words, merci and bonjour. And even with two simple words, I got confused. When someone poured some water during a lunch, I could respond with bonjour, and I could greet someone with merci. And then I faced a new task. I needed to go to a bank and to pick up my checkbook. I expected it to be easy. I just needed to somehow explain one word, but reality was very different. Instead of explaining one word, I made a guy feel in a few different ways. So I came to a bank and I saw a clerk. He was sitting behind a counter, and above him there was a sign which said something like cartes and a word which should have meant a checkbook. So I have no clue how to read it. So I decided to pronounce all the letters in my Eastern European style and was hoping that the guy would understand that it should be a checkbook. So I approached the guy and said, bonjour, dziękuję. His eyes were opened, brows went up, a clear sign of incomprehension. I'm a smart guy. I know quantum mechanics and how to solve differential equations. I know how to explain things and make them clear. So I added hand gestures and said it louder. Dziękuję. The guys look at me again, and then he realized that I repeated it intentionally. And maybe I was meaning something. So he thought for a second, and then he made this move. You called me a what? I didn't need a fight with the clerk. I did need my checkbook. To save the situation, I quickly pointed above him saying, dziękuję. He relaxed for the moment, realizing that he's not a dziękuję. But then he thought, dziękuję is sitting above him, and I saw fear in his eyes. You never know what to expect from these crazy Ukrainians. He looked around, but everyone was calm and relaxed. So he realized that everything is okay. But this anxiety gave him some energy, and this energy needed a way out. And there was a way out. So I saw a blink in his eyes, and his head went up and shoulders also went up. So clearly he went from anxiety to curiosity. So he was so curious to find out what is this dziękuję. He leaned out of his counter and looked above him. Then, of course, he laughed and smiled and said, Monsieur voulait chiquier. So there was I, a humble student from Ukraine, trying to get his dziękuję. At that time, I thought that you need to speak perfect French in order to communicate emotions and ideas. I was terribly wrong. Without knowing how to pronounce one single word, I managed to transmit some emotion for a guy and made him feel in a few different ways. And still, I felt very foolish and stupid in this situation. Then I thought about Tom Hanks from a movie Forrest Gump, playing a very dull fellow. And when someone accused him for being stupid, he always responded with a line, stupid is as stupid does. Any action, it's not about looking foolish or smart, it's about the result that you get. I may seem very foolish at that situation, but I've got my checkbook. I made a guy laugh, And I've got a story to share with you this evening. So the lesson that I've learned from this such voyage to the bank, sometimes a foolish looking action, it's the smarter thing that you can do. Mr. Contest Chair.